There's a video on YouTube about gaming backlogs being a bad thing. It's called You Don't Need a Backlog by a creator called Transparency Boo. And its general thesis is that you shouldn't have a list of games you want to play because it will make you miserable. And I have to 100% completely and totally agree without reservation to every single aspect of that video. In fact, I think of myself as a case study of everything that was said in that video. I have a stupidly complex, overly engineered spreadsheet for my backlog with way too much in it. And just like she said in the video, I agree it was making me miserable in a way. I only allowed myself to play games that were on the list because they were on the list and I'd made it. And I didn't play any of the things I wanted to play because of it. I have this really bad habit of making rigid plans and lists and then doing nothing because the plans stress me out and I don't want to do things that aren't on the plan because it's not on the plan. And games are a bad thing to make lists of to try to complete because there's so many of them coming out all of the time and some are really long and you'll never be able to keep up, so it's just one more thing in your life piling up like a new pile of laundry that you can't finish. And if you're anything like me, you also let other things go because every to-do list that grows is just one more stress, even if it's something dumb as like video games. Making lists and trying to only beat games on that list also means you don't play some things you might like a lot just to relax. Games that are just for playing and aren't really completable, like Truck Simulator. Not that Truck Simulator. That Truck Simulator. These games are ones you can spend hundreds of hours in, but if you are only playing games to finish your backlog and feeling stressed about it, you'll never want to play something like this. And that's a shame because I seem to really like them. Also, you might be craving a replay of a game, something you've played before that you really like that you feel like playing again. For example, I'm a big fan of single-player campaigns in military propaganda first-person shooters, but I'd never replay them because I have too many other games to finish first. But I did it. I already did it ages ago. I've made a list of games to play and I made it in Excel because of course I made it in Excel, and apparently so do a lot of other people.
Sorting the backlog in extensive Excel sheets or fancy documents, adding descriptive categories like hype level or anticipated playtime.
But mine is way better than all of those. What is this, amateur hour?
You can't help but suspect a slight tinge of pride and joy in this funky list of unfinished business.
You're damn right I'm proud. It may be an unhealthy system I imposed upon myself that stresses me out more than my baseline, but it's my stressful, unhealthy system that stresses me out more than my baseline. And tonight, I'll be showing you all what a real obsessive spreadsheet could look like. So my spreadsheet, shown on the screen now, is actually for more than just games. I made my backlog spreadsheet for games, movies, TV shows, and comics. So that's 4 things, because it wasn't enough to stress myself out over just games. I had to do it to everything, because I don't half-ass things around here. Certainly not a spreadsheet. This is only one of my many spreadsheets I use in my life. Everyone's got a budget, but I got several for like all sorts of things. I don't know what's wrong with me. Something's wrong with me. The first page of the spreadsheet is just the queue of what to play next. Basically, a list of 5 things that it can suggest to me to either read, watch, or play. And on top of this list right now is manga called Futari Beya, A Room for Two, Volume 10. If I was just going to pick something off the list, probably just do that. But it gives you 5 options in case you don't feel like doing a comic at the time. That's how smart I was. So the next one is a game. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the reboot. One of my military propaganda shooters that I'm really quite fond of. And then there's movie. And it's kind of like that. And it recommends 5 things, but the queue is actually a list of 10 things because I like to be elaborate. I'll unhide the table of the queue. And this is it. This is the actual queue, which actually has 10 items on it, as shown here. And what it does is it actually every hour, it will select a random 5 from the list and display them in date order. So newest to oldest, but 5 items. The idea I had in this was some days I feel like some things and some days I feel like other things. But as it turns out, that's a very poor solution for it. I mean, just a terrible solution all around because it doesn't really help So the way it picks items for this queue is it will actually pick basically a even spread between all of the 4 different types of things that are in the spreadsheet. You know, movies, comics, games, and TV shows. So it will try and evenly distribute them so there's always something of each type. So if I think today I feel like watching a TV show, I will have a TV show available to pick. Of course, the problem is it's just like when you put your music player on shuffle and it doesn't play a song you want, so you keep pressing next until it does. And because you really just wanted something to play specific, but you didn't admit it to yourself. This spreadsheet kind of has that issue. And when it comes time, let's say I read the comic Futari Baya, A Room for Two. And so I click on the status page and I click on Futari Baya, and then I can select complete. I've finished it now. And then it's gone and it gets replaced with something else. In this case, I think Dune Part 2 got added on the list, but it doesn't show because it's not one of the 5 selected. But let's say, I wasn't going to play something. Let's say Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was garbage, and I started playing it and I hated it. Now, I've got a system for that, so I'll select Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and I will hit cancel, because I've just like, stuff it, it's bad. I've heard it's bad, I am going to play it, but for now, let's assume that it's so bad I can't stand it, and I click cancel, and now it's gone as well. And what happens when you complete or cancel an item is it actually goes onto this events finish table. So you can see the 2 items I just did, and Call of Duty has a type of 2 and Futari has a type of 1, because 1 is complete, 2 is cancelled. There's also a 5. I can't remember what that... Actually, I do remember what that is. That is the already complete. I had this thing where it was like, I put things on the list in entire series, but I'd already played or watched some things and I wanted them on the spreadsheet too, but I didn't want to mark them as complete as if I completed them now. So I made another status of I'd already finished it before the spreadsheet, and then I have a button for that now. What if I don't have the item now? What if I optimistically put it on my spreadsheet saying I'm definitely going to play Alan Wake 2? What would I do? Well, I will add it to the purchase list. And now it's actually gone from the queue as well. That's broken. That's goddamn brilliant. Oh, because I found a bug. The bug is that the release dates of these 2 items are the same. So, because they have the same date, they can't be ordered in date without clashing. So only one of them gets there. So I'm just going to quickly put a fix on. And just a cheap and nasty and dirty fix by just... Oops, that was the wrong one. Plus row divided by 1,000. Or 10. Yeah, 1,000 is good. Fill with formatting. There we go. I've fixed it. It should be there now. There we go. Fixed. You've just watched me find a bug in my spreadsheet that I hadn't discovered. How have I not discovered that for this long? That's insane. Doesn't matter because no one else is using this spreadsheet but me. So where was I? Let me redo that. What if I wanted to play Alan Wake 2? I played Alan Wake 1 in Control and it's time to play Alan Wake 2. But I don't have it yet and I don't really feel like buying it yet. It still costs a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on it to select it and then click Add to Purchase List. And that will actually put that item. It will remove it from the the queue, but it will also put it on this list, the purchase list, obviously, and I can see it here. And what this will actually show every item added to the purchase list. I cleared it for this demonstration, and those actually go onto the table events to purchase, naturally, and that is where you can see item number 55, which is Alan Wake 2, and that's how it knows that it needs to be purchased. It will not be recommended until it's purchased. And when I finally buy it, I can search for, because this list out of 10 is actually the list of the queued items, just to make it quicker to find. But if I want to find something not on the queue, I have to search for it. For example, Alan Wake. I can find Alan Wake 2, and then I can remove from the purchase list, and now it will be recommended to me again. And that's how I find an item. Like, let's say I wanted to, I was playing Titanfall, which I am, and I finished it, which I haven't yet, but I could search for it and click Titanfall 2. Some games aren't made to be finished. For example, a Forza Motorsport or or just a racing game, right? Like, they're not really a game you finish. You don't get to the end of a World of Warcraft or a truck simulator. They're just kind of ongoing, which is why I made a status called ongoing. So I'm just going to use Assassin's Creed as an example. Let's say I haven't finished it, it's going to take me forever. I'm just going to keep toying with it for ages. Let's say I don't really need to be recommended it though. I'm just going to click the ongoing button. It's basically a different kind of finish, and it will recommend future things in the series. When I insert items, to get these items in the list, I have naturally an insert tab. And so here it is, and it gives me a list of items that can be prerequisites for other items, fields to fill in. Let's say, Barbie 2. Let's say Barbie gets a new movie. So I'm going to put Barbie 2. Alright, and that is I'm going to say it's a type of a movie, and I say genre, it's a comedy, and it comes out in yesterday, 4th of June, and 4th of June 2024. The thing is though, I can't watch Barbie 2 without watching Barbie 1. I've already seen Barbie 1, but I want it to be linked together, because when you link together items with prerequisites in my system, they are linked in the same series. They get given an ID for each series. I will show that in a second, but first I'll be showing Barbie. So I'm going to search for Barbie, and I'm going to say, click on that, and now it's over on this side, which is a selected prerequisites. So that means Barbie 2 requires Barbie 1. So I'm going to click add, and now Barbie 2 has been added to the list. Now where do these items go when I add them? Well, they go onto a table, because everything is a table. Everything in a computer system is a table of some kind, right? Now here is the table of items, and if we look, we can find, once we get to the B's, I'll explain the order later, Barbie and Barbie 2, and they are together, and they have a series ID of 34, and that is naturally because they're the same series, and that's because they're linked together. So every item here is basically grouped with all the other items in its series. For example, this is all Battlefield stuff, this is all Bioshock, and so on. It's all like that. And the way they get linked together is when you add them to the list, they get put onto a table called data prereq. Now this basically is prerequisites table. I said it was complicated. I'm very proud of this. I don't expect anyone to watch this, by the way. So if you're still here, why? But okay. So here is the list of prerequisites, and you can see 30 Rock Season 2 requires 30 Rock Season 1, and so on. I've sorted this so it's easier to read. Which was unnecessary, because it will behave the same no matter what order these are in, just as long as each row is correct. But the ones once I scroll way down to the bottom, the ones we just added was Barbie requires Barbie 2 requires Barbie 1. So you can see 140, which is Barbie 2, the item we just added, requires 139, which is Barbie 1. And that is how the basic system works. I do have another table, another page, where it will actually show you a list of 20 random items for each category. That way, if you think, I don't want to play anything with the queue, I want to play something else. It started because I wanted to be able to look at all the movies I have and pick a movie off the list. But you can see, if I feel like it's time to pick a movie, I can look at this list and go, today I'm going to watch Starship Troopers. This is a list of movies I haven't finished that aren't blocked by any prerequisites. But there are some really, that all makes sense in a way, but there are some really stupid things about my spreadsheet. For example, I don't have a list, I don't have a way of showing a list of finished items. Once it's complete, it's just gone. I want to have a page to display it, but I don't know how to display it. I've got plenty of ideas about showing every series in a select searchable list, and when selected, it will show all the items on the list and what status they are. Seems kind of cool, but I'm not sure how cool it will actually be, so I might toy with that later, but I haven't done it for now. So once you click complete, you don't have that list of pride, because I call this list the pile of shame, which is something I heard on Good Game, which is a TV show that used to be a game review show with the hosts Barjo and Hex years ago, 10 years ago. It's so long ago. But I don't have a pile of pride, which is completed stuff. I've got to make that. The second thing, the stupidest thing about this spreadsheet, and it's just so ridiculous. Why would I do it? This list does not matter what order this list is. When things get added, they could be added to any row as long as all the other tables refer to them properly. And I didn't like that because I kept coming in here and trying to find specific items when I'd, either put something in wrong or I wanted to get rid of something or whatever, and I found that I couldn't search through the list very well. And if I just sort this list using Excel sort, what happens is all the IDs are mismatched. So I made a system that will automatically sort the list. Now to showcase it, I'm going to mix the list up. I made a system to do that. So I'm just going to mix the list up. So you can see I've just really randomly unsorted this list. It's a mess. But the beauty of it is everything still runs exactly the same. Exactly the same. Or everything looks the same. Why sort it? Why not? I'll just sort the list. And now it's sorted. And every single time I add something or remove something or whatever, it does this. It checks to see, is it out of order? And if it is, it resorts it. The last version of the spreadsheet, the sorting method used to take hours. Like genuinely hours to do less items than this. And I coded it up in an airport when I found that some of my items were linked to the wrong items in prerequisites. I had a bug in the previous version of the spreadsheet. This is version 4, by the way. And so in the airport, while I was waiting for a plane, I coded up a sorting algorithm for this stuff to basically resort it and fix all the other tables up at the same time. And it took hours, but it did work. And I even had a page dedicated to it with like a table showing how fragmented it was and a button that said defragment. I don't need that now because it's instant. But it's a damn waste of time. And that's the spreadsheet. Oh my god, what's wrong with me? So, if you have one of these lists and you, like myself, are incapable of giving it up, perhaps because of how amazingly elaborate your system has become over time, it's time to mitigate the negative effects. Don't add any new games just because you want to eventually try it. Add them only after you've started it and decided it's something worth finishing, otherwise you might feel committed. Go through and get rid of things that are either standalone or in series you haven't started yet, because for me I had tons of optimistic items on the list. I went through everything in my Steam, GOG, Epic, Xbox and just added tons of things I already had. Ancient games, games on my wish list, old games, the free games from Epic Store, and every one of them just became an obstacle between myself and playing games I wanted to play. Truck Simulator. So I didn't want to play it. If I didn't want to play these games, I cancelled them or deleted the series entirely. In fact, the advice in the video I base this on is really good. If you must make a list, and let's face it, we must, just make a list of games you've already finished. You get to make a list, which is the fun part. You get to make your spreadsheets and documents, but it's not a to-do list that stresses you out. In other words, don't be like me. No one cares if you've played or watched or read any of those things. It doesn't matter. You're not going to regret not having played every Metal Gear Solid game if you die tomorrow. So ask yourself, do you want to play the game? Or do you want to have played the game already? Because if it's the latter, it's not worth it. Just take it off the list, just cancel it, and then just replay Deus Ex for the 100th time.